Today, we're going to explore a new and honestly pretty complex battlefield. It's what experts are calling the sixth frontier of modern warfare. And the crazy part is, it's a battle that's happening all around us all the time. Just think about it for a second. What if the most important conflicts today aren't fought with tanks or jets, but in the realm of ideas, of narratives, of what you perceive to be true? What if there's a war for your attention happening right now? Well, that invisible battlefield, it has a name. It's called the information domain. And it's every bit as complex and confusing as a traditional combat zone, creating this totally new, disorienting fog of war for the 21st century. Okay, so to find our way through this new fog, we're going to need a map. And that map has to start with getting our terms straight. What exactly is information warfare really? So here's the official definition, but let's break that down. Information operations, or I/O, it's really about using information to get inside an opponent's head, to shape how they think and what they do. And at the same time, it's about making sure your own decision-making is protected from the same kind of attack. You know, it's pretty fascinating when you look at how warfare has evolved. For centuries, it was just land and sea. That was it. Then we took to the air, then we pushed into space, and then, of course, came cyber. But now, strategists agree that information itself is its own distinct and absolutely decisive domain of warfare. All right, so if it's a domain of warfare, we should be able to see it, right? We should be able to map it out. Well, that right there, that is the central problem. And it is a massive one. How do you visualize a battlefield that's made of ideas and narratives? And this brings us to a really critical intellectual trap. It's what experts call the McNamara fallacy. It's this dangerous habit of measuring only what's easy to measure, and then you just dismiss everything you can't easily count as not being important. And you see this problem everywhere in our modern world, right? It's easy to count retweets, likes, shares. We're drowning in data. But does a high number of retweets really tell you if a story is winning hearts and minds? Probably not. So the most important part is what we don't see. The real influence campaigns, they're often happening in the shadows. We're talking encrypted chat apps like Telegram, local newspapers that have been quietly bought out, or even just old-fashioned word of mouth. By only counting clicks, we miss all the cultural nuance and how a story can suddenly jump from one place to another, completely changing along the way. One expert used a metaphor that I think just nails it. They called this work forensic archaeology. Understanding information ops isn't like watching a live video feed. No, it's more like being an archaeologist, carefully, painstakingly piecing together tiny, scattered fragments over a long, long time to figure out what really happened. So how does this all play out in the real world? Let's move from the theoretical and look at a case study that experts are watching very, very closely: China's information strategy in the Indo-Pacific. The goals here are all connected. It's a full-court press. It's not just about pushing one single message. It's a coordinated campaign to sow doubt, to weaken alliances, and to slow down American decision-making by pouring gasoline on existing social divisions. And the endgame? It's all about deterring the U.S. from getting involved, especially when it comes to Taiwan. And the tactics they use are really sophisticated. As one senior military participant pointed out, these campaigns are not built on pure fantasy. They almost always start with a kernel of truth, which makes them way more believable. And critically, they mix their information campaigns with real-world physical, or kinetic, actions. A perfect example of this was during former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. China didn't just fire off angry tweets. They launched huge military exercises and fired actual missiles that landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone. That physical show of force was designed to dominate the news cycle and supercharge their message in the information space. Okay, so if the problem is this messy, this blend of tweets and actual missiles, how in the world do you even begin to get a clear picture? What's the right lens to look through?
This really gets at a fundamental mismatch in the world. Authoritarian regimes, well, they have a big advantage when it comes to offensive I/O. They don't have to deal with public debate or legal hoops. Democracies, on the other hand, are more constrained. But the general thinking is that sticking to the truth gives democracies a long-term advantage. And why is that? Because trust is slow to build, but it's much, much tougher to completely destroy.
This whole challenge is forcing people to think way outside the box. Seriously, experts are looking far beyond the military for inspiration. They're asking questions like, hey, can we learn from how disease experts track a virus spreading through a population? Or what about how pilots manage a flood of data in the cockpit? Or even, how does the insurance industry visualize the risk of a massive catastrophe? So let's bring this all together. When you boil it all down, at its very heart, this entire thing is a battle for perception. It's about shaping the mental landscape where every future decision gets made. And here's the thing you have to remember. This is not like a corporate ad campaign that's over and done with in a few months. Geopolitical information warfare is a marathon, not a sprint. We're talking about multi-year efforts. A simple 90-day data dump, it's going to completely miss the real story. And that's exactly why being able to visualize this domain is so important. The ultimate goal here is to create a common, trusted picture of what's happening. A tool that lets everyone, from the analysts on the ground to commanders and top-level policymakers, get on the same page so they can make smarter, faster decisions together. Which, of course, brings this all right back to you. This isn't just some high-level military problem. It directly affects the information that you and I see every single day. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. In this constant, never-ending war for your attention, who is drawing your map?